Hey church, Pastor Allen, First United Methodist Church, Georgetown. It's Thursday afternoon, and I wanted to share some updates about some things that have been kind of quietly been going on in the background and will begin to come out into full view in the next few weeks through announcements, through a couple of meetings, through things that are going on in the life of the church. These are not things to cause any anxiety. This is not anything that is bad. It's all incredibly good stuff. It is opportunities ahead in the life of the congregation. But here's some updates, things that would be better just said maybe in a video in person instead of written down. On November 2nd at 6 p.m., we're calling a charge conference. A charge conference, let's have some UMC speak. Charge conference is our executive council when the executive council invites the district superintendent or a presiding elder to be part of an annual business meeting. Annually, we have a charge conference meeting. We have one every year. Sometimes we go off-site to another church to hold that meeting. This year it's going to be here. It's going to be in room 209. That's the former library. Your executive council will meet. A presiding elder will show up. My friend Pat from First Round Rock will be here to preside over the meeting. Again, with language, this is a charge conference, not a church conference. A church conference is a vote of the entire membership of the congregation. So this is not a church conference, this is a charge conference. Anyone is always welcome to attend our meetings. PPR meetings are the only closed meetings that happen in the church. All the other meetings, finance trustees, executive council, people are welcome to attend. They don't always attend, but it's an open meeting. Charge conference, November 2nd, 6 p.m. We will look at two agenda items, which are the normal agenda items of a charge conference. The first is that the charge conference approves the pastor's salaries. This happens every year. The PPR will bring forward the pastor's salaries this year for myself and for Pastor Tina. And then the nominations committee will bring forward the 2024 leadership slate. All of our different committees, some people are rotating off, some people are rotating on. Both of those are things we do every year. There'll be two more items on the agenda for our charge conference. The first is to address the possible sale of the Myrtle Street parking lot. Myrtle Street parking lot, we call it the Tony and Luigi's parking lot. The church purchased that property in 1993 for $40,000. They did about $60,000 worth of renovations and updates to prepare it to be a parking lot. There is a potential buyer of that lot. And in the conversations with the potential buyer, the church will continue to be able to park at that lot. So in a sense, nothing would change for us. There's been a small group in our trustees that have addressed this, asked questions. They've been talking to the Learning Tree, to Michelle, to see exactly how that might affect the life of the church, and our parking needs are always a need here in the congregation. They did a parking study on 2 Sundays to see who was parking where. I think at the end of the day, that lot is not used as much. And so it wouldn't hurt us much to let that go. The monies that we raise from the sale could go to offset some of our debt. We are still paying the note on the HVAC renovations here in the sanctuary. The work that was done in the sanctuary ended in 2021. There's still a note. There's a balance on that note of $787,000. That note will adjust in June of 24. So some of you know that notes every handful of years will adjust. This one is a little different. This will adjust from 3.75% to 9%, 3.75 to 9. That'll happen in June of 24. That will raise the monthly payment $2,355 a month. So if we could sell the parking lot and use a chunk of that or most of that to help pay down that note, that would be very beneficial to us. It would reduce our debt services, which we always want to work on. It'll also reduce that monthly payment. That would be a great step for us. So the Charge Conference is looking to give authority to your trustees to take next steps on that sale. That would be the work there. If you have any questions about this piece of the parking lot, of the potential sale, Jim Connor has been bringing us leadership to that work. Some of the trustees have been working with him on that. So he would know more information than I know about that. The second agenda item for our second additional agenda item for our Charge Conference is to authorize a significant remodeling project here on our ministry campus. To authorize that remodeling project and then to elect a building committee that will plan that project and walk the church through that project. Previously to this vote, a study committee was formed in August. The study committee is myself, Jim Connor, Chris Baker, our business administrator, Jason Habengrather, the trustee chair, Vance Mitchell, the trustee vice chair, Sherry Madden, our executive council chair, Linda Peters, who represents the finance committee, and then John Brunk, who is one of our newer members that is bringing a lot of counsel to us. He knows a lot of this language and work with the city. This group, this study committee, met 3 different times to review our priorities. There's a lot of different projects to tend to with this coming renovation. Received feedback from the staff. We had 9 staff turn in what ended up being a 6-page report of information and feedback of what our needs are and where we are. What we're looking at, friends, here is what we're calling right now getting our house in order. Getting our house in order. The image that I'm thinking about in this renovation project is when you sell a beloved house. Many of us over the last few years have sold a beloved house, and there's a moment where the realtor gives you a list of projects that you need to complete before you put the house on the market. Before you hand the keys over to the next owners, there's always a list of things. There's things you probably should have done, things that were probably on the list to do. And that, in a sense, is what we're going to be looking at doing here. We're going to hand the keys over to the next 175 years of First Methodist Georgetown. And I remember when I've sold some houses, I drive by later and I still have a connection to that house. I still love that house. I want to see what happened to the tree that I planted. I want to see what happened, what did the future owners do. That's kind of the idea that we're looking at. Next year will be our 175th anniversary as a congregation, so we will tie this work with our 175th anniversary. It's exciting. It's also a little different, a little unusual. A lot of times when you're talking about capital funds campaigns, you're talking about building campaigns, you're building a certain item, you're building a sanctuary, you're building a fellowship hall, sometimes you're building a parsonage or selling a parsonage. That's not this work. This work is going to be an assortment of different needs that we find around the ministry campus. I'm going to go through a list of those, but hear me say, this list is incredibly long, and it has many different pieces. I am not going to address the full list. I'm just going to hit the high points. For instance, the lead project here will be the HVAC replacement in the main building. So our education wing, our office wing is still on the older chiller system, the many multiple pipe chiller system. That has needed to be replaced for some time. That is rusty, it's held together. I'm not sure if it's duct tape, but it's something similar to that. That needs to be replaced, which is going to be thorough. It's going to be every floor. It's going to invite Sunday school classes to be relocated for different times. It's going to be a big, big project for us, the HVAC in the main building. It'll also allow us to do some new things with some of the rooms that we have. Another project on this list will be the sanctuary. Here in the sanctuary, we still have pews that need to be replaced. We have some mobility issues we want to address. There are many steps in the sanctuary, and they're at different frequency, they're at different height. We need someone to help us take out as many of the steps as we can, make this space as mobile friendly as possible. The front doors need to be replaced. There's some foundation work that needs to happen. Remember that our last project was to replace the air conditioner in here, and we did that. It was incredibly beneficial and helpful to us, but there's still some work to be done in here in the sanctuary. In the McKinney Center, in the MCMC, there are worship upgrades that we're looking towards. Somewhere on our ministry campus, we need some showers, and those showers might end up in the MCMC. I am very interested in trying to relocate some nursery space to the MCMC. We have a lot of families bringing young children and babies, and they're asked to go clearly to the other corner of our ministry campus to drop them off. I'd like to see if we could find some nursery space within the MCMC. Some work to do there. Two more. The White Annex. White Annex is this house that is across 13th Street to our south. It is a building that is empty. It has been gutted, it is cleared, it is simply just 2x4s in there when you walk in and see. It's a framed up building. We have dreams of providing community park space with that property. What would it look like to remove that older white annex building to create some space where community might gather, where we might gather, we might be able to use that space? That's part of the conversation when we think about needing to address that older, rundown house. Another thing to address is the Hope House. So just to the west of the White Annex, there on that same lot is a more historic-looking, older structure that we call the Hope House. There are some simple renovations that are needed in that space. It is possible that we create a prayer chapel in that space. It might also be possible that the prayer chapel is closer to the sanctuary, might be here on the main building, but we do have a prayer chapel on our needs list for this project. HVAC in the main building, sanctuary work, MCMC, White Annex, Hope House. You're not hearing something. Some of you are thinking, what about Gethsemane? This study committee, after reviewing all of the needs and all of the many questions that are going to come up, made the decision to kind of take Gethsemane off of the table, to have that not be part of this larger capital funds project. Gethsemane is our community center. It is south of our property, about 2 or 3 blocks. It's on 19th Street, Ash Street, 20th Street, Church Street. There's a former old chapel there. There is a parsonage that's on that property. That's all the way the community garden is. It's where we hold our Easter egg hunt. So that's Gethsemane property. We need to ask some questions about that property. We need to dream some new dreams for that space, but that's not going to be part of this work. So just to kind of help everybody as we see all these different things, we're taking Gethsemane for the moment, setting it to the side, getting our house in order. It's a lot of work, friends. It's going to be a big work for us as a church. Timeline, On a timeline, we've already had a study committee. We're calling this Vote of the Charge Conference to put a building committee together. The building committee will then interview architects, hire an architect, develop architectural plans, the drawings. The building committee will walk us through listening sessions with the congregation, time for feedback, time for you to give us feedback, for us to share what the thoughts are, to put the costs together. We'll need to go through a capital funds campaign. That will occur around October of 2024. So we've been in a stewardship campaign this year. Next year, we will still do a stewardship campaign, but alongside it will be a more thorough capital funds campaign where we'll invite congregation members to make a 3-year pledge towards this work. We will have a church conference. Remember earlier in the video, 14 minutes ago, sorry. we will have a church conference. So there will come a time in the timeline of this Getting Our House in Order, the Capital Funds campaign, where the church is called to vote. Every member has a vote. Every member will get to come and vote. That should be in early 2025. In early 2025 should be the time when we have a church conference. There are several other steps along this very quick timeline that I'm sharing in the Book of Discipline. It talks about all of the various things. There's a district committee that gets involved. Our district superintendent gets involved. I'm just going through this very, very quickly for us. If everything works out, if our timeline plays out correctly, we would begin work on the most critical of these issues in the summer of 2025. So friends, we're still in the very beginning stages of this. There's still a lot of time for changes to happen, for questions to be asked, but just want to let you know. You can ask me any questions you might have about this. You could also ask Jason Habengrather, our trustee chair. There are several that have been part of these conversations, bringing a lot of wisdom to it. I want to share one final word, and thank you for those of you that are still paying attention and watching this video. I think it's going to be on YouTube and Facebook. In the Know. In the Know is a new quarterly informational piece that we sent out last week, last Wednesday in the e-news. There was a link to something called In the Know. That's new. That's something that we're trying to do to share a little more of the detailed information with members of the congregation. These are things that sometimes a church might put in the bulletin. These are things that you as faithful members, questions that you have. How are we doing as a church? What's coming up? What are we doing? How's our attendance? What's our Sunday school attendance look like? Those kind of things we want to put in a quarterly informational. We'll send that out 4 times a year. And in the last quarterly In the Know, the one that came out this past week, there was some comments about the budget. And so I want to stop for a second here at the end and share some words about the 2023 budget. At this time last year in 2022, we were looking at staff salaries. We were looking at some insurance increases. We were looking at other needed increases in our budget to about $200,000 increases overall in the budget. So our budget moved from about $2 million to $2.2 million. And what we needed for that what we needed there was for giving to go up about $200,000. So giving is slightly up from this time last year. Giving is not down, giving is slightly up. However, it hasn't filled that gap between the 2 and the 2.2. So there is a gap. There will probably be a gap at the end of this year. Sometimes we call that a shortfall or a deficit. But I wanted to let you know that we're waiting to see what December brings. A lot of times giving is stronger in December. We want to see what the feedback is from our stewardship campaign that we're right in the middle of. We know that it's something to watch. And so Finance Committee, myself, we're watching this, but we're not concerned. And I wanted to just share that. A budget is something that you watch. A budget is something that gives you guidance. We wouldn't want to have a deficit year after year because then that eventually wears out your reserves, which we have plenty of reserves to cover us for this year. But I wanted to say a word to that we're aware of it, we're watching it. We're not yet concerned that that's a major problem. And I'm excited to see what the response is from the stewardship campaign, because I think that might have things heading in another direction as well. So that's a word about that from In the Know. Let us know if you have any questions. So friends, thank you. Looks like I'm going to be just under 20 minutes. I want to let you know if you have any questions, please let us know. There's a lot of things going on in the life of the church. There's a lot of decisions that are being made. And sometimes churches aren't the best at getting that information out to the members. So we want to try and do our best. We want to try to start doing even a better job to let more people know what's going on. It's an exciting time to be here. Tina and I, the other day, were sharing in the car just how grateful we are to be here with you. And we know of the amazing opportunities that are ahead in this congregation. There's a lot of churches, friends, that are struggling in different ways for a lot of different reasons. A lot of things have been going on, especially coming out of COVID. But this congregation is a little different. There's a different spirit. There are amazing leaders and faithful people here. And I'm thankful to be here. I know Tina is, and Jim, and the whole staff. Things are going well. Friends, thank you very much. 20 minutes. I'm going to click stop. And if you have any questions, let us know. Take care. God bless. Thank you all.